when we have these 4037 transits, we will notice that they become more and more impactful in the global aura in our lives, and things start to shift, and it's like that energy of the 3740 gets louder because it knows that it's going to be fading out soon. So we have this, let's go back to the old ways. Let's go back to how the schools used to be. Let's go back to how education used to be. Let's go back to the old nuclear family and how everything used to be, because that's always going to be better than it is now. This is the rise of fundamentalism. This is a rise of a lot of things that are, slowly fading, and yet people want to hold on to it with everything they can. But then there are other people who are saying, yeah, that's okay. We're okay to let go of this. We're okay to move forward. I hope you're doing well and that you are getting back on track after Mercury retrograde. I always find it's a little bit more, I don't know, it just feels like a lot more when Mercury goes retrograde in a sign that is ruled by Mercury, like Virgo. I know it was Leo as well. But for me, I was very happy to go into my hermiting mode and kind of went away from the world. And now I am back out into the world and here to talk about the new moon happening. It's going to be happening on September 2nd, 2024, and it's going to be happening at 11 degrees Virgo. So we are still in Virgo season, and Mercury will slowly make its way back to that energy. But for now, we're going to talk about basically the new moon that's going to usher in the eclipses. Eclipses are happening a little earlier this year. They're going to be happening, the first one's going to happen sort of later in the month between the 17th and 18th of September, based on wherever you are. And what we really have to say that about this particular new moon is that we have a lot of definition. We have the head and ajna defined. We also have the will center and also the emotional center defined as well. So we have all this global, you could say global energy that is activated, which is bringing willpower. It's bringing emotional energy. It's bringing mental pressure and a need to know what's happening, and also looking for awareness and clarity, and also certainty with the defined ajna. It also brings a sense of fixedness, and so people are sort of looking at their way of seeing things. And then when we see that we have the activation of the 4037 channel in the sixth line, it's even more impactful. And it also is really interesting in that we have the gate 40 in the juxtaposed line. So in other words, it is in equally in the exaltation and also the detriment, because they can both play out evenly, or equally, I should say, in that they are uh, both fixed, basically, which is kind of a very special energy. And it is kind of cool where it's going to be ushering in the eclipse season. And it really is talking about leadership and community and partnerships, and the deals that we make with ourselves, and the deals we make with our families, and the deals we make with our friends, and all those people that matter to us. It really is bringing the focus to your work, your career, the things you do to make money. And even when you're not, like, you don't have a job where you're working outside of the home, even if you're in the house and you have people that are relying on you and they want you to work for them. And it really is questioning this concept of how much are you doing for others, and is it draining you? Is it burning you out? Are you having an equal exchange of energy, or is it always one-sided and giving to other people? And sometimes it's not even about giving back. It's just about always taking and taking and taking. You just, at some point, you're just so depleted, and you don't care if you get something back. You just don't want more taken away from you. If we look at the whole 4037 channel and how much energy we put into basically the community, family, and trying to make a better life, because this is truly about working to support other people, or working to make the world a better place, or working to make the lives of other people better, because it is always going to be tribal energy. It questions whether or not you're putting a lot of energy into things that no longer are worthy of your energy. The gate 37 is where the earth is, and it's really talking about this idea of spirituality. Because when we get to the sixth line of the gate 37, we're moving ourselves away from this idea of the materialness of the will center and the ego, And we're now moving into something bigger, the spirituality. And some people say that the Gate 37 Line 6 is really talking about wanting to see the face of God, wanting to see beyond this illusion that we live in, wanting to see beyond the world that is right here in the Maya. And, for tribal energy, that is quite impactful in that it is so different from what we usually talk about with tribal energy, because tribal energy is usually about the mundane needs that we have to live on planet Earth, the mundane things we need, like food, shelter, community support, all those types of things. And so this is saying that, is there something more? And another sort of aside to the Gate 37 Line 6, which I think is quite interesting, is it talks about karmic rewards being given to those who have, I guess, worked to make a better world in some way. And that could be working to make a better world, just by, just being the best version of yourself. But it's like whatever you have done, the light you have put out in the world is coming back to you double or triple fold. We look at the Gate 40 Line 6, which is, an opposition, but also it is making a full channel, the 3740, which connects the will center to the emotional center. It is really putting a focus on leadership, and it's really talking about, who are the real leaders who are out to support the people, they're for the people, and who are the leaders who are for themselves. Because as long as we have tribal leaders, it is about for the people, in that, you couldn't be getting benefits, but also the people need to get benefits. And when it gets to the point where the tribal leader is only taking benefits for themselves and they're not really caring about the people that are, that they're supposed to support, then that is when the leadership obviously can falter. So when we look at the Gate 40 Line 6, this is really saying, I like to call it nip it in the bud, because it's one word in the whole 384 lines, that I'm not a big fan of. And you can look it up in the I Ching if you want, the Rave I Ching. But ultimately, I prefer nip in the bud, and it really is talking about the detrimental leaders that are not supportive of the people, and having them removed from power because they no longer serve the collective. And this is what we might see, from a global perspective, seeing that certain leaders are being removed from their posts because they're no longer supporting the collective. And on the tribal theme, you have Jupiter in the Gate 45 Line 3, and this is really talking about this idea of leader doing anything they can to be relevant, to be out there, to be the leader, to, not really caring about the people that are supporting them, just caring about their leadership, and that they stay on the top. And if we bring Mercury in the Gate 4 Line 5 in, this is really where leaders, the Gate 45, are pulling in this concept of throwing people out to the wind to kind of take the heat for the leader instead of the leader taking the heat for themselves. Alternatively, it could be even stealing someone's work and saying it's yours, and pretending that, you are this great person and that you did all this stuff, and even though you didn't do it. So it can be that kind of energy. If this is someone who's a boss, or somebody who's in a leadership position in that you're working with, or even a friend, or somebody who's trying to take the lead, trying to use your work and pretend it's theirs, trying to um take all the limelight because they feel like they deserve it and maybe you don't, and trying to minimize your work. Remember that this is a time of karmic rewards. The light will shine on you when you are, walking in integrity. And this is kind of saying that, just, your time is going to come. Don't worry about it. It will come. And if we continue on with this leadership's perspective, we can look at Mars in the Gate 15 Line 1. And again, this is pushing this idea of leaders doing extreme things where eventually they are going to be alienated from the group. Now, the Gate 15 is all about being in the flow of life, and extremes are necessary in life at certain points. Extremes can be a way to bring things back into order, to get things, chaos back into order. Because, if a lot of people are arguing in one room and everybody's trying to get their voice heard and nobody's really listening to anybody else, if somebody stands up and yells, to everybody, enough already, stop talking, let's bring this into order, that is an extreme. You could say that is an extreme because someone's yelling in the middle of a meeting, and yet if it brings everybody back into balance, where you start listening instead of just talking, and things are not as chaotic, well, that is an extreme that is done for a reason other than just being extreme. But with the gate 15 line 1 where Mars is in detriment, it's really talking about just being extreme to the point where you are alienating people. And this is where leaders are saying, I am this, I am that. And really I just feel like it's so global, this energy, where we may see this really playing out in the global stage, where we can see these leaders just being over the top and look at me and I'm the best, and basically trying to take other people's work and doing all those types of things. But yet the other perspective is, when we have the gate 40 in the juxtaposed position, it's saying, okay, you are going to be removed because you no longer serve the people. You no longer serve to support the people that you are pretending you want to serve. And from a global perspective, keep in mind this is connected to with the gate 40 and the gate 37. This is part of the mystical energy. And so this is really talking about organized religions. So we have a clash of organized religions with spirituality, where organized religions come with rules, regulations. Spirituality comes with a connection with whatever kind of spirituality you want to do. We have a clash of the old and the new, of moving into a new cycle, because when we have the new eclipse coming up in September, this is where we're really starting to move into new energy, a new cycle. But again, nothing ever is smooth when it comes to change, because there are always going to be people, and especially you will notice it in this particular new moon, because we have the full energy of the 63-4 channel, which is kind of saying the old is better, and then other people are saying the new is better. And then you have Venus in the gate 18 line 2 that's saying this is beyond hope. We cannot fix this. This needs to be thrown out. It basically is corrupted beyond repair. And so we have to build something new. It is really saying that we are moving into a new cycle, and there's really not much to do, because evolution is what it is. When evolution starts to roll forward, we can roll with it, or we can try and go back to the past. And the more we get into um this moving towards 2027 and this global cycle change. Now I think about the 3740 being the cornerstone for all life and civilization since 1615. And what I always say is, these types of energies of the old way of doing things and how we've always done things, and the tribal way, and the will center being the only part of life that matters, this is all kind of changing and shifting, and we're looking at being our individual selves and authentic selves and uniqueness, and not really worrying about what everybody else is doing, but really just being focused on just being ourselves. And that's kind of what this energy is doing. And so when you look at the world around us and you see the TikTok trends, with I would say a lot of these TikTok trends are the most silly stuff in the whole world, and everybody's doing it. And I think that silliness is wonderful. It's great. It's something that we can have fun with and move into the world, and just take it with a grain of salt. But what's really happening is that we have these TikTok trends that are becoming something that goes beyond silly and starts to become part of something else that is not necessarily as healthy as it might have been had we just taken it with a grain of salt and had enjoyment with it. So it's all about trying to have this sameness, but what's really moving forward, what we're really moving into, is this uniqueness. Ultimately, the universe will have its way, and it will move us into a different place, because change is part of who we are. Change is part of how we grow as individuals. Change is part of our awareness, our evolution, and everything that makes us human. And if we always stayed the same, we'd still be, basically in prehistoric times. We wouldn't have a civilized world. So this is about moving forward. You may not know exactly where you're going to go. You may not know what you're going to meet on your path, but all we can really do is be open to understanding, and to see what happens, and to play with it as we can, and to move through the energy with empowerment, knowing that change may not always be easy. And I think it's easier for some people than others. It really depends upon who we are as personalities. But the reality is this, that it comes whether we want it to come or not. And sometimes letting go and letting things be as they are, it's really about flowing with the current and still being yourself, still having your uniqueness, still being who you are, allowing the flow to flow through you and with you. and allowing life to unfold as it will. And that is basically the energy for this new moon. And I really do hope you have a wonderful new moon. And the next time we talk, we will be talking about eclipse season. And until then, take care and bye for now.